Hi, welcome back to my channel. Now, I have been doing this series on the story of Bridget, and I watched the last one I did, and I just realized how many little things I missed along the way. I have a tendency to, when I get over one thing, I kind of tuck it away and move on to the next. I did tell you about Bridget's grand mal seizure. I did not mention how she got salmonella when she was in about 4th grade. If you have never experienced salmonella, pray you never do. This was so devastating for her. She could not eat, she could not drink. She laid on the floor holding her stomach, moaning. This is a child who, if she has a headache, she won't let you know. If anything, she doesn't let you know anything hurts. She laid on the floor, holding her stomach and moaning. The doctor said to me I had to get a stool sample. Honestly, there was no stool. It was liquid. And she's wearing diapers, and there's no way to get a sample. Really disgusting. I know. I apologize. Had to diaper her with a tall kitchen trash bag, so that it would just go onto plastic. The odor is inexplicable. It is just horrific. And I had to get, I think, 3 samples in all over the span of her illness. I was called by the health department because it's not a common thing to get. None of us had it. It was just Bridget. Now, Bridget never ate fast food or anything, but that was the questions they were asking us were, oh, it's really hot in here, I have to turn the fan on. The questions they were asking me were, have you been in, has she been in a fast food restaurant? No. Has she been out of the country? No. Has she been around anybody who's been out of the country? No. Just so many questions. Has she come in contact with raw meat? No. Because Bridget is not allowed to come into the kitchen while I'm cooking. And all of the surfaces that Bridget touch are cleaned after I cook because of that. Finally, literally after a half an hour of questioning me, he said, do you have any reptiles in your house? And I was like, excuse me? And he said, do you have any reptiles? Now, when we found out Katie was allergic to cats, dogs, anything with fur. So at the time, those little lizards, I don't know what they're called. They're not geckos. I don't know what they're called. Everybody had them. So she got perfect A's for 6th grade. And she said, if I get perfect grades, or I probably said to her, no, she said perfect. I would have accepted C's and B's because that's what I did. I mean pass, where Katie was always a high achiever. And she said, can I get one of these little lizardy things? I said, sure, no problem. So we get the tank, we get the everything. And so she would carry it around the house with her. She would put it in a tub and play with it in there so it couldn't get out. You know, not in water, just so that she could play with it. We learned how to feed it, we learned how to take care of it, and she loved it. Well, apparently, reptiles shed salmonella. And it's not recommended for anyone, a family who has anyone under 3, who would, like, say, touch something and put it in your mouth or something like that, which Bridget did. I'd never heard of this. And when the health department man officer asked me, do you have reptiles? I said, yeah. I have one of these. I knew what it was called then. I don't know what it's called now. So he said, bingo. That's where you got it. And I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, this is my daughter's sole... her sole desire was to have this reptile. This little gecko-y thing. And it was almost deadly to Bridget. Who knows how she got it? We didn't know they shed salmonella. So, the salmonella could have been on anything. In the bathtub, on Katie, on the sofa, on whoever touched whatever. You know, it's hidden. And it just was like, oh my God. And I literally had to find, Katie knew that we had to give it up. So we found, this is when we lived in Philadelphia, I found a reptile rescue person. And we drove around for it was only about 40 minutes away from us. We drove around for an hour or 2 hours and a half. Of course, me being lost. And we came up to this big old house. And this woman greeted us at the door, and we gave her all the caging and everything that we had. And her house was full of cages, but it wasn't like one of those hoarder things. There were animals were loose, but there was no smell, there was no nothing on the floor, nothing weird. She did have one of those, I don't know what they're called either, the big lizards that people take and then get too big, in her bathtub, although she didn't show it to us. But she did take, I can't remember what the name of this little lizardy thing was. Katie named it and everything, and she adored it. And she cried all the way home. But it's all I could do. I couldn't pick a lizard and Katie's feelings over Bridget's safety. I mean, there's one thing about picking a child over another for, getting a different gift or whatever. But, not health and a material thing. So we did that. We did salmonella. And it was just a case of nursing her back to getting her back on fluids. And it took a while. It took a few weeks to get her back to normal. And of course I went around my house like a crazy woman, spraying Lysol and everything, just to get it all out, scrub the tub, change all the linen, change everything after we had gotten rid of the lizard. And then we also went through head lice. If you can see on the picture, it's not really that clear. Bridget has hair down to her butt, almost. And it's this curly, kinky hair. So I get a call from school to come pick Bridget up. And she has head lice. And there was another boy in her class who had them. So that I knew where she had gotten them. We didn't get them. I lined my husband at the time, my daughter, other daughter Katie, and myself were lined up with the shampoo. And we all took our turn sitting in the bathroom for however long you had to leave it on your hair. I changed and washed everything in hot. I did all of the clothes. I took everybody's clothes out of doors and washed them. I sprayed. Bridget has a bed that just has 1,000 little plastic pockets in it because it's enclosed bed system. So or not plastic but vinyl. So the vinyl goes under it, and then the mattress. But the vinyl gets all like crunched up underneath it, and then you put the sheet over the mattress, but the vinyl comes up on the side of it. So, and it has netting. So this entire bed is pretty much a head lice attractor. There was no wrapping it up for a month like you do stuffed animals and stuff like that, which I did. It was just a nightmare. So I went to the store and I bought all the things you're supposed to buy, the shampoos and all that stuff. So I had a girlfriend who, her daughter and my daughter, I would watch her daughter after school. So, I mean, girlfriend, you know what I mean by girlfriend, not girlfriend. Politically correctness is driving me crazy sometimes. So I sat on the floor. Now, this is Bridget, who really doesn't cooperate that well with anything. And I sat on she sat on the floor in front of me. And I kind of just had my hands on her shoulders, or I would slide a leg up just to hold her shoulder back just a little bit, so she knew she had to sit. For some reason, she figured out that we were doing something good. And here, my friend sat and, with this long, tangly hair, 3 hours of picking out head lice. I mean, I still itch when I think about it. I still get freaked out. So we did this for all these hours. And I send her back to school. We didn't get them all. So home she comes. So I call my friend back up and I was like, we have to do it again. So I had to do her bed all over again. We had to start from the beginning. Everybody's hair had to be done all over again. All the linens and all the clothes had to be washed again. Everything had to be done again. And, so I took the kids to the pharmacy. And I had originally gotten the shampoo and the little comb and everything. And apparently, they're so gross. It had lice, like deposited glue that holds their eggs in place. So disgusting. So I bought like 2 bottles of this glue remover. They had 3 different kinds of combs. I bought them. They had 5 different kinds of house sprays. I bought all of them. I spent hundreds of dollars on this because I had to get rid of this in my house. I just wanted to run screaming out of my house. I was so skeeved. We got this glue melter. You know, shampoo-y, not shampoo, it was just like stuff you put in your hair. And I looked at this hair that was down to her butt, and I said, we just can't do it. So I cut her hair probably this length. There was nothing else to do. And she does not like her hair in the face, which is why I keep it long, so I can put it back. So, needless to say, we ended up having to use like 1,000,000 barrettes until it started growing out. But she was able, again, we sat there for 3 or 4 hours this time with this glue melter and the, little comb, and you shake it into this like solution, you get to kill the bug and get it off of your comb. And Bridget was so amazing, and my friend was so amazing to have done that for me. It was so disgusting. And like years later, I was talking to another mom when I was picking Katie up for school, and I said, yeah, when Bridget was like younger, she had headlights. And the mom actually backed up. I was like, you know what, maybe I would do the same thing. I don't know. Because it's just such a frightening proposition. I never had anything like that in my life. I know friends have had it. And my mom had it back in the day when she was in nursing school. But, I mean, we had never had it. So it was... So we've been through a lot of different things. Chicken pox. Nowadays, everybody gets a chicken pox vaccine. My children had chicken pox. And Katie had them so bad that they were in her nose, in every opening of her body. Inside. They were in her throat. They were on the sides of her mouth. They were in her ears, close to her eyes, up her nose, in between every finger and toe, privates, everything. When she got done, I literally picked out a few hundred scabs from her hair. It's disgusting. Bridget got the second dose. A lot of times the second kid in the household gets them a little bit less. And she got hers right at the tail end of Katie's. And she thankfully did not get them as bad. But I did have to end up wrapping her hands and keeping her hands covered because she would scratch. And Katie never scratched. She was amazing. Bridget would scratch, and her one whole cheek blew up. So I called the doctor, and I'm like, we're in the middle of chicken pox. She has scratches to an infection. He sent me the pharmacy cream. My husband at the time picked it up, cream on, and I was able to get her pretty unscathed through it because she slept a lot through it because she was very sick. Katie had 104 fever for 4 days. And I called them every hour. Are you sure she's okay? Because they don't want to see you at the doctor's office if your kid has chickenpox. And my one girlfriend brought over her kid who had never had chickenpox and was like rubbing her on everything. And I think she got like 1 chickenpox. Bridget, like I said, didn't have them all in her mouth and eyes and everything. Poor Katie did suffer through them. But what else did Bridget have? Just such a myriad of things. Everything, she doesn't chew. That was another thing I don't think, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, and I wanted to sneak it in. When she was about 11 months old, she got a severe stomach flu. We all had it in the house. And she stopped eating. And so I was doing the little, the baby feeding, introducing them to new baby foods and all that. She never would open her mouth again. Until we got her, all through early intervention, they tried. All through kindergarten time, they tried. Not until shortly before we came to New Jersey, which was like 6th grade, would she eat. And they were just persistent and consistent with how they introduced food to her. And they actually videoed the first, one of the times that she was feeding herself. And now she does feed herself. It takes a lot of prompting. She's very distracted. She's very determined. If she doesn't want to do it herself, she just won't. So I do it. I know she's getting over on me, but I need to get the food into her. Pretty much no choice. If she's not going to eat it, she will take it from me. So, and it doesn't bother me. I'm watching her eat. She's taking sips of iced tea from her cup, and not a lot. She won't. I don't know how she can eat an entire meal without drinking more than she does, but she does. So that was really hard, the feeding. That was crazy hard because she wouldn't even pick up a spoon. I even had girlfriends take her into their kitchen and pretend I left and try to offer her food. Even good things like ice cream or yogurt or pudding, things like that. And I would hide somewhere in their house to listen. And they're like, oh my, and Bridget's deaf, so they could talk to me a little bit. And they'd be like, Marietta, this is out of, this is crazy. And I was like, I know. She just wouldn't, she would just lock her face up. It's the same way now with brushing teeth. She has to be general anesthesia because she will not let me brush her teeth. I get in there as best I can, and we do it, but I end up jabbing her in the side of the face. She will shake her head back, pull out the toothbrush will come out with my hand, and then she'll shake her head again, and then I slam the toothbrush into her lips or, into her hair, or, it's like a Three Stooges movie, watching Bridget and I trying to brush her teeth. She just doesn't like it. She does not like her mouth touched. When you go to wipe her mouth, say after she said pudding, you go to wipe her mouth, and you wipe it, but she has it so tight closed that when you back away and she releases her, she just relaxes, there's still pudding because she has locked it in there. Putting on chapstick is ridiculous. Just putting it on the very edges because she has locked her mouth up. It's very funny because there's things we can't change. And a lot of times with smaller children who have special needs, things will change. Things should change. But as they get older and puberty sets in, and there's a certain age where there's progression stops a lot of times, or they regress. Bridget, thankfully, has, she picks up new skills here and there, but loses other ones here and there. But you kind of roll with it. It's not like, you're not going to go up to a friend of yours and say, I really don't like how you drink out of a cup. You're not going to do that. You're not going to say, oh, I don't like how you hold a fork. Or, I don't like how you eat in a pattern on your food. I don't like how you eat all your mashed potatoes first and then your green beans. when it has nothing to do with you. It's not on a spectrum. It's just how they like their food. Some people smash it all together on the plate and eat it that way. It's none of our business. It's the same with Bridget. She has her preferences. She has what makes her comfortable. She has her things that make her safe. And that's the most important thing. Bridget is frightened a lot because she doesn't know what's coming. She can't hear. She doesn't trust because, like, even with diapering, if you go off of the routine, she thinks she's getting a suppository because she had such bowel problems in the past. She hasn't had a suppository in over 2 years and is still terrified. So if you make one extra reach over for another glove or you forgot something over on the table, she's up and looking, and you have to make overt gestures to show that no, you're just getting another wipe, or no, you're just putting a glove on, because she's terrified that she's going to get a suppository. But like I said, you can't tell regular people how to be. So you can't tell special people. You can't, like, I know a lot of people on the spectrum have certain things with eating. That's what makes them safe. They have control over that. And we all have control over so many things, or most things. But they end up not having control over most things. So many things in their head are random, or shooting messages that confuse them. Bridget gets messages, I'm sure, all the time that confuse her. And so I have to expect that. I gotta roll with it. But I've taken every challenge that's presented to me. Sicknesses, tantrums, her turning into a woman and being grown up. Although she looks like she's 16, I know she's 30. Just all the joyful things in raising my children, and the scary things. You have to take them all and love them and accept them and put them where they belong. If they're bad and it's over, leave it alone. Learn from it, leave it alone. If you want your child to do something that they'll never do, they're not capable of, they can't do, or you have to push so hard to try to get them to do it that you frighten them, don't do it. They're not going to do what you want. You can encourage them to talk by giving them all the opportunities. But just because you have given them all the opportunities doesn't mean they're always able to either understand that teaching or to be able to understand language as a whole. Or maybe they'll pick it up and in a week you'll see signs of speech. Or maybe they have select mutism. I mean, there's just so many things, but you're going to have to accept. My girlfriend's daughter is autistic, and she does reverse echolalia. She has to repeat after her mother everything. And I'm trying to remember how it went. I don't know, she said it, then her mother said it, and she said it again. or but everything had to be repeated over, and it was reverse echolalia because instead of echoing her own voice, she had to echo her mom's, and she could also do impersonations. Uh, not as a not on purpose, but you know, she would say, "Oh, what did Froggy say the other day?" And she would do the exact voice of Froggy when she would repeat something that they had talked about before. So, yeah, you know what it was? It was the daughter had to say something and would get very upset if the mother didn't repeat it. That was the reverse echolalia. The mother had to repeat everything the daughter said. So it was really interesting. You get used to it, you know, and she does it to you too. I mean, if she says something, you have to repeat it. Um, and then she just laughs but uh, every child, no matter what, is going to have a million challenges and 50 million accomplishments. And you got to roll. You got to roll when they're 1, you got to roll when they're 21, you got to roll when they're 31. You got to roll when you're 101. And just love them and just accept them, and don't ever pity them, and don't ever pity yourself. That's wrong. Nothing happened to you. Your children aren't a punishment. If something's wrong with them, they're a gift. They're a gift. Nothing in nature and God did something to you. You were given a child to raise and to love. No one promised, and you can't show me where you were ever promised to have a child who was perfect and pretty and normal and happy and, you know, no, that's not how life works. You were given a child to love. And I'll tell you, with both of my children, Katie's 32, Bridget's 30, I have had the most amazing life. I wouldn't trade it for a thing. Nothing. Nothing. I wouldn't change one day of having them. None of the sickness, none of the nothing. Because it would have altered something else. I cherish every day, every hour, every minute, every second of having them as my children, as my heart. I need to end my series because I'm going to be starting another one, which you'll see obviously is a lot different. Give your child a hug. If they have passed on, send them your love. Because I know a few that have, that I send my love to all the time. Oh, my kitty. Alright. You take care and you be well. Subscribe, like. I'm getting lonely. Alright, take care. Be well.